Okay, let's jump right into this. Hello, everybody. My name is Misbah, and today we're going to do a little bit of a different thing with this podcast. This is a series of podcasts which I'm going to be doing, and I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about a subject which I find fascinating, which is psychology and human behavior, and really getting to grips with the things that make us human, whether those are faults, whether those are good things, and unpacking them a little bit and trying to understand them on not necessarily an academic level, but just on a level where we can have fun and talk a little bit about stuff which is going on in our lives. So I'm really happy today to introduce my friend and my colleague Marcus as the first guest of the series.
Thank you very much, Miz. It's great to be here. I would also add to that list partnering, maybe not partner in crime, but partner in
rhyme.
Yes. We do like our rap.
We do. We like our hip hop. Yeah.
But we also work really well together.
We do,
and it's great being here with you on this podcast too.
Thank you so much. And that's one of the reasons why I think I'm really excited to have you as my first guest, is because of that. We have a great, I hate to use the word, we have a great synergy. We've got a great energy when we work together. And most of the time it's around me writing scripts and then you filming and editing, which is a difficult job. I really impressed seeing what goes on behind the scenes. Those of you who've seen any of our videos on Wakelet, which I'm sure you have, you have to understand how meticulous and grindy a lot of the editing is, and then you also have to combine that with a level of artistry and creativity, which I think is one of the hardest things to do. And that really leads me to what the whole podcast is about, essentially. I wanted to talk a little bit about the creative process, a little bit about procrastination.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
The ugly beast that rears its head every time you want to try and do something creative.
Well, it's exhausting being creative.
It is.
And it's very...
You sound very humble right now.
Yeah,
you sound like Kanye West.
Really? Wow, thank
It's
you.
exhausting being this creative.
Honestly, no. It's exhausting just being creative. And a lot of the time, especially, at Wakelet, I am the only one here who makes the videos at present. Not that I feel like I'm on my own. I've got a great team around me, some amazing people who can help motivate me. But at times it does feel like it's I've got this problem and I'm on my own with it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people as well focus on the problem. It's very hard to focus on the solution.
Well, we're talking about two different things here, I think. We're talking a little bit about writer's block and creativity block, and then procrastination, which I think are two different things, right? I think that anybody who's involved in any form of creative process, or any job for that matter, can procrastinate regardless of what you're doing. But I think that creative roles in particular tend to have quite a lot of creative block happening quite often as well. It's very difficult to get in the zone and decide I'm putting pen to paper and I'm creating something right now. What do you do to get into the zone where you're like, right, I've got this video that needs editing, it needs to be fire, it needs to be hot, it needs to be amazing, and I'm going to work on it right now? What do you do to get into that pumped up feeling?
Caffeine helps, if I can be completely honest with you. Sometimes you just need to feel inspired. It's a very hard thing to force, especially if you're doing creative work for a job, for a client, for someone that you have to do it for. It doesn't matter how you feel. You've got to get this thing done. You've got a deadline. What do you do? And then sometimes, like, if I'm getting a blocker where I'm really struggling, maybe I don't want to do this particular project. I can't put my soul into it. What do I do then? Just have a walk around, speak to people, get their perspectives, and try to... sounds a bit strange this, but feed on their energy. If you're feeling a bit kind of burdened by this task and you don't want to do it, but you have to, just speaking to people who are maybe having a better day than you, can really put you in a good mood.
I've noticed you doing that, actually. I didn't know that you did it on purpose, but I've noticed that when you're feeling like you're in a little bit of a rut and you can see that you've been stuck on the same... I always know, because it's the same frame, and if it's there for more than 20 minutes, I know, Marcus is in that sunken place. Yeah. And what I have found is that you do that. You do sort of, seek out people who are having a better day than you, perhaps, and you kind of take an active approach in getting that motivation back. For me, I'm the king of procrastination. It's what I'm known for, but I'm very stealthy about it. Very few people know that I actually do it.
Okay.
But it started, I think, in university when it came to doing coursework and exams and revision and things like that. Studying just didn't register on the pleasure scale for me whatsoever. So I found it very, very difficult to study and revise. And what would happen is I would find it much more effective to wait until the very last moment before it becomes a crisis and then start doing it. So if something was due in 3 months, I'm never going to start it a month in advance, even a week in advance. I'm going to wait until I feel that panic set in. That's when I'm the most productive, and that's when I can create the best things. So, which is why I'm always trying to set myself deadlines when I'm working, because it's really important for me. And I love it when other people are dependent on me to do something, and they give me a deadline to do it, because if they just say, "Oh, get it done as soon as possible," I don't really like it.
You don't want to let them down if they're depending on you for something. You have to deliver. I feel not everyone. It's a great way of working, and I've felt that pressure can help, but I often feel like if it's not necessary to put yourself under such pressure, I don't think it's healthy for some people. Like, it's not. It
depends on how you handle it. Yeah. If you handle it with a sense of calm, and if you handle it with a sense of like, I'm confident that I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to get it done to a high standard. And if you've done that in the past and come through, then most of the time you're okay. I very rarely get like rattled when I've got like an impending deadline, because I know I've done this deliberately. I've waited until 2 days, a few hours before the deadline to prepare or get the work done, just because I know that's what's going to produce the best work. That's what's going to happen. I'm not gonna be able to put my best into it earlier than that. It's just impossible. Yeah. But yeah, the idea of procrastination is an interesting one. Let's move on into the idea of like a creative block. Okay. Obviously, I do quite a little bit of writing, as everybody knows. I love writing. I find it an incredible thing. It's a privilege to have writing as part of my job. And obviously, you with your editing and your filming, do you ever feel that point where you've hit a wall? You can no longer continue. You don't have anything of value to contribute to the project which you're working on? And if you do, how do you get over that? How do you overcome it?
It does happen sometimes. A project's landed on my desk. My heart might not be in it for whatever reason. And I feel a sense of guilt for that, because it's, I want to put my best into everything that I do. We had Community Week recently. That was fantastic. I got my teeth sunk into that. It was amazing. I loved every minute of it. But of course, we don't do Community Week every week. Yeah, so, exactly. There's a bit of a lull afterwards, and you have to find a way to just pick yourself up. And to be honest, I don't think I know the answer. I know it would have been a lot quicker for me to say no, but no, me, that's not
you're
how
right. I think that you're best. We're all best at what we enjoy. And if there's a particular project or task that lands on your desk that you have to do that you love, then you're going to naturally gravitate towards that. You're going to want to do that first. You're going to want to impress people with it.
Exactly.
Whereas if it's something that doesn't quite tickle your fancy, something which isn't, aligned with your personal interests and the things which you find interesting, then naturally you're not going to give it as much attention. But I think the real discipline is treating every project as though it's the same.
I would also say as well, trying to find, this won't apply to everyone, okay, but in the realm of video at least, which is obviously what I do, finding a way to make it your own. So, for example, I might be doing some animations as part of my role, and I might not really like them. I'm not really sure how to get the most out of them, make them look cool. A lot of my job is just making things look cool, which is a very vague, standard. But it might just be a case of, find a piece of music to go in the background of that video that you really like and that really motivates you. So that's something that I sometimes find myself doing just to make it my own and make myself feel good about it. Because it's a project I'm being forced to do. I might not really be in the mood for it. I might not want to do it, but just finding a way to make it your own.
Finding a way to make it fun as well. Treating it as though it's like a little bit of a challenge or a game. Gamifying it.
Gamifying is right.
I think that's a pretty cool technique to use for sure. Now this is a little bit more of a broader thing which I wanted to speak about, which was the idea of motivation. And when I talk about motivation, I'm not talking about it in the cheesy way, not talking about motivational quotes or work out to be not that kind of thing. I'm talking about like general day to day. You go through times where you just don't feel as motivated as you did yesterday. The future doesn't seem as bright to you. The projects which you're working on don't seem as enthralling. The wider picture of what it is that you're doing, I won't go as far as to say your existence, but at least it becomes a bit existential. You just feel like, I'm a bit meh, I'm a bit bland, like there's nothing really going on. Why do you think that happens? And when it does happen, how do you shake it off, or is it something you just have to sort of power through and just get over?
I think it's important to acknowledge it. Everyone goes through that at some point. And I think if you can own it and and this is very difficult, finding a way to just target it and try to, get around it. It's very difficult. You go through a slump, you ask yourself, oh, am I doing this? Like, is this right for me? Is this what I should be doing? Does this align with what my goals are? It depends on the person. If you're very career driven and goal oriented, then you might question, oh, is this what I'm doing right now getting me closer to where I want to be?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the time it actually is, but you don't realize it there and then. You think, oh, what's this one little thing gonna, this is a waste of time for me. Well, that's an attitude thing, and you have to accept, I'm in this place, I want to get to that place, and there's going to be days where, you're not going to be as energetic. And just check yourself. Is my diet good? Am I healthy? Have I got good mental health? Do I need to get some help from people? Do I need to ask people for advice and see what their perspective is on it? Because sometimes you can have clouded vision and you don't really know, well, this goes into writer's block as well. You have a barrier and you don't know how to get past it. Just open the conversation. For me, it's just speaking to people and getting their opinion and their insight as well. Because there's a lot, we're very lucky in Wakelet to have a really good team. So whenever I'm struggling with something, I feel like I can always speak to people. So just surrounding yourself, it's easier said than done, but surrounding yourself in good people that can, that can speak to you about that kind of stuff.
I find the most effective thing to do when I'm not feeling very motivated is, like you said, first of all, acknowledging it, because quite often you can go a few days or even a few hours and, you don't quite notice it. You just feel a little bit down. I think that the moment that you realize it, I think it comes down to you reminding yourself about what the greater vision is, reminding yourself, like you said, about what your goals are, where you fit in the world. Are you contributing something of value to your career? Are you contributing something of value to your family? What I find is, like you said, speaking to people helps. Speaking to loved ones, parents, people who know you the best, sharing that you're feeling a little bit, demotivated and seeing what they think, getting it off your chest. That's what I think is probably the best thing to do. And if all else fails, I think it is just understanding that I need to power through this. I'm not feeling that great now, but I'm not going to feel like this tomorrow. I'm not going to feel like this a week from now, and focusing on that. This leads me on to something interesting as well, which I wanted to pick up. It's not largely related to what we're speaking about, but in our fields and in most people's fields, there's always going to be other people in their area or people that they see, whether it's in their family or whether it's in their company, whether it's in their friendship circle, or even if it's just seeing what celebrities and people are doing online. And what we tend to do nowadays is it's much easier for us to compare our lives and our success and the things which we've achieved in our life with others, with, high achieving people. And I always say comparison is the enemy of joy. If you're, for example, learning a new sport, or I know that you were learning to DJ, right? And you become very proficient in it, if I might say so.
Oh, thank you. It's just, it started as like a hobby during the beginning of lockdown in the UK. And, it's become something that I actually quite enjoy, but it has taken time. And
I'm sure that when you look at other people DJing and the music that you listen to and the sets that you see, that these people are at a different level to you. And that can quite often expose that you are not as far ahead as them, and that can sometimes kill your motivation or your joy for it, because you're like, I'll never get as good as this person.
Well, for me personally, I don't resonate with that, because I found a way to see where other people are, not necessarily just DJing, but also film production as well. I've got a career plan in my head that I want to, and there are people that are already there, and oh, why am I not there? I want to get there. But use that as motivation. It's possible. Someone has got there, so can you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very powerful thing to just like keep in the back of your mind. Whenever it's very easy to get consumed by the jealousy. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. Who are they? What have they got that I've not? Well, exactly. They're a person just like you with the same.
Well, the jealousy. What you're talking about is envy. Jealousy is where you have more than two people, and one of them is upset at the level of attention that another person is receiving. It's very personal jealousy, usually around relationships and things like that, and families. When it comes to envy is a bit more of a yuckier sort of emotion. Envy is that you see that somebody has something that you want and you don't want them to have that thing. It's not so much that you want it for yourself.
But only if someone else has it. You're not actually bothered about it. But if you see someone else with it, then it's like, oh no, I want that back. That's envious. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. You can turn comparison. When you're I think it's normal to compare your life to other people. And I think that it's understanding that you should, like you said, use that as a form of inspiration for yourself. Because if you see somebody with a really beautiful car, right, that you love, the difference between inspiration and envy is inspiration is looking at that car and saying, one day I'm going to have a better car than that, or one day I'm going to be able to afford that car. That's inspiration. Envy is, I hope that person crashes that car and it gets written off.
And,
so they're two very different things.
Anybody.
It's
that's
not
just horrible.
Yeah,
and it festers in you, and it absorbs all your feelings and your thoughts, and you don't need that.
What kind of things inspire you?
A big source of inspiration for me in the last sort of, I'd say 14, 15 months, pretty much, throughout our time, during lockdown and all that stuff. There's this music producer that I follow quite closely. Never used to be a big fan, to be honest, but now I am. And he's been producing this album, and the album is all about him getting over his creative block with music, which you might think is a bit meta, but it's actually a very good album. And it's really inspirational because you can actually hear it in the music. There are some parts in the album where it dips down and you realize, oh, this is the point where he questions, is he ever going to make music again? And sometimes I've questioned, will I ever make videos again? Video is a passion of mine. It's what I've always wanted to do since as long as I can remember, and I can't see myself wanting to do anything else. Maybe one day I'll have a change of heart and change direction, but knowing that other people have felt similar woes and have gone through similar lows, makes me think, oh, I'm not on my own with this. It's okay. You just got to find a way to get through it.
Yeah. Inspiration is a tricky one. I think that people get inspiration from things that they don't even know they're being inspired by. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people see other people as inspirations. A lot of people see that people have accomplished certain things and have done really well in their life. And I think that that's great. I think that's a really good place to take inspiration from. But I think it's a little bit too close to it's too close to the comparison bit. It's a little bit too close to the envy. You know what I mean?
I'm guilty of comparing myself to others all the time, and I not so much recently, but yeah.
I think that you can pick inspiration up by really, really simple things. Sometimes you can inspire yourself. I know that this sounds a little bit egotistical, but I think that if you look back at the things which inspire me when I'm feeling like I'm in a little bit of a dump, is I will go back and I will look at pieces of things which I've written. I will look at projects which I were involved with. I'll look at videos which I've written, which you've produced. I'll look at speeches that I may have given. And those things will inspire me because there's nothing better. There's no better form of inspiration, I think, when it comes to you personally, than looking back at the things which you've accomplished, knowing that I did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes you feel really proud of what you've achieved, that you can achieve, and you can still do it.
Exactly. In the moment, you feel like low. You feel like I can't do this. I need, you start to question your abilities. You start to question how good you are at this particular thing. But I think that going back and looking at things that you've done in the past is a really good thing. And I don't mean it in like an old timey way, like, oh, back in the day I used to be able to do that. No, not in that way. I mean in pretty recent history way. Go back and look at some of the things which you've accomplished in the past, and those things can inspire you for sure.
Oh yeah, no, totally agree.
Yeah. Well, it has been absolutely fantastic speaking with you today, Marcus. It really has. I've really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I think that as we open up this podcast series to a few more different people and different subjects, we're going to get a really good idea about what makes people tick, and hopefully connect with the people at home who may be, dealing with things on their own. I think it's quite nice sometimes to, like you just said, hear people which are going through the same things as you. And there are these commonalities that we all share as human beings, these emotions like envy, like feeling demotivated, like writer's block, that I think when you hear about them, it encourages you. It makes you feel like, if other people are feeling this way, then I'm not on my own.
Yeah, I think recognizing and remembering that you're not on your own, and also it's totally normal to go through these dips and mounds. Like, you have to get through some rough road in order to get some smooth sailing on the outside.
100%. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a better, there's a more poetic way of putting that, but yeah, you get my point.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, sometimes if you're feeling this way, you can just have a podcast with a good friend and talk about it that way. Mm-hmm. No, it's been fantastic speaking with you. To everybody listening at home or everybody watching us on YouTube, if you have any comments on the things which we've spoken about today, please just let us know. Either tweet us on Twitter at Wakelet using the hashtag the Wakelet podcast, or you can leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'd love to direct everybody's attention to wakelet.com/at the Wakelet podcast. That's where we host all of our podcasts, and it's where we've got a bunch of really cool supplementary content as well that cover some of the subjects which we've spoken about. So thank you all so much, and I bid you good day, and I can't wait to see you next time.